Welcome to Business Leadership Podcast. In this podcast, I interview successful business leaders and industry experts to help you grow your business. In this episode, I had a very interesting discussion with Michele Molitor, CEO at Nectar Consulting and a trailblazer in personal transformation. She is a master coach, hypnotherapist, speaker, and author. She brings a wealth of experience to activate positive change in response to pervasive mental health crisis we face today. She is the thought-provoking guest expert, speaker, and writer on the topics of imposter syndrome and burnout. She's also a co-author of a best-selling book, Breakthrough Healing. We had a discussion around the various challenges and opportunities that business leaders are facing today. She shared insights on how business leaders not only responsible for their own well-being, but they also have a responsibility to take care of their staff and their teams as well. She shared what it takes to build positive and a very productive work environment when it comes to improving communication, team building environment, and also building a new leaders and teams as well. If you like this content, don't forget to send me your feedback, subscribe to this channel, and share this content with your colleagues. Until next time, please welcome Michele Molitor. Hi guys, welcome to Business Leadership Podcast. Today my guest is Michele Molitor. Michele, thank you so much for your time. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me, Gurmeet. I'm delighted to be here with you.
Okay, so if you just walk our audience through what is a Nectar Consulting, right?
Yes.
So if you walk us through what is that about, and then we can take it from there.
Sure. So I've been a coach now for over 23 years, and I'm also a hypnotherapist. And I work with clients both individually and with teams to help them remove the toxic energy, the negativity that comes with corporate America, right? And to get it out of your system, out of your limiting beliefs, so that you can bring more confidence, more of your authentic self to your work in the world as a leader, and to help your teams find more dignity in their conversations with each other.
Very interesting. So what have we gone through for the last few years, Michele? With the disruption, with the COVID, all this stuff. A lot changed. Businesses change. People change. People dealing with a lot of things at home. They're dealing with the work as well. Leadership is also that we are up against different challenges. You've been working with a lot of business leaders. You were talking to a lot of business leaders in your area. So what do you think some of the biggest challenges that these people are up against, whether it's leadership or team leads? What are some of the biggest challenges you see that people are up against?
Well, as work has gone remote and or hybrid now, communication skills are vital, right? When we don't have face-to-face communications with people, we miss a lot of the body language cues that come with that level of conversation. Mm-hmm. And so people are having to learn how to communicate differently through this square of Zoom, right? Or Teams, or whatever the case may be for folks around the globe. And being more open to recognizing not only the body language clues, but listening at a deeper level to the people that they're talking with, so they can have a better understanding of what's going on for the other people on their team, and to meet people where they are. Right. Mm-hmm. It's easy to make assumptions in the absence of information.
Yeah, and you don't know what's going on when you're talking to your team, other side that they look like they're sitting in front of a computer, but there could be so much going on around them. Something with the families. I'm not sure. How's where you at? But in Ontario, we recently saw the numbers that 1 in every 3 Canadians either they're dealing with the mental health challenges or anxiety challenges, or they know somebody in the family or in a relative, somebody's dealing with that kind of challenges with the stress or anxiety or some of those challenges, and we don't know on a camera that the other person might be either dealing with that or somebody in a family is dealing with it. So you don't know what's going on other side. So you gotta be mindful of those conversations, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. The anxiety levels have gone through the roof, which then exacerbates itself and shows up in different physical manifestations as well, from super high stress levels that can then lead to chronic migraines or IBS or, even worse, heart issues or, so on and so forth. So when we take time to listen at a deeper level, Gurmeet, and to really sense into what's happening for the other person over there, if you recognize someone's not really their regular happy-go-lucky self, instead of assuming that everything's okay, just getting real and asking them, "Gosh, it seems like something's a little off for you today. How are you doing?" Right? And really creating a space for people to share what's going on for them, because we're all humans, right?
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
all have stuff in our lives that are going on that impact how we show up at work. And I think as we've gone to this remote hybrid model, that has only become more so. People used to think, oh, I go to work, I do my job, and then
Yeah.
I go home and I close that door and everything's fine. But if you are dealing with high stress levels at work, or a toxic work environment, or you're dealing with folks who are bullies, quite frankly, in the workplace, right? That has an impact not only on your mind and how you see and perceive yourself, but it also impacts your physiology. And all of that goes with you everywhere you go, right? So if you go home, right, guess what? All that tension is still in your body. And then it can start to show up in your conversations with your loved ones in ways that you maybe didn't want to have happen, right? So it's really important for people to take care of their mental well-being and finding the ways to talk about what's going on, or exercising. It's energy, right? And it just wants to get out of your body. So finding a way to get it out through healthy eating, exercise, um, talking with a trusted friend or colleague or your favorite coach, right? There's all great ways to help support you as you move through challenging times.
Yeah, very interesting. You mentioned something about energies. I know when we work in office, we all feed off each other's energy. If there's a winning energies, we all get high vibrations, and we do. Looks like you get a lot of insight into energy. Does the energy works the same way when you work in remotely, or is it a little bit different than when you work in an office that you could, you could create the positive energy, and then you have a winning environment in your company as a culture. But on a camera, it works a little bit different. What are your thoughts on the energy level that you work remotely?
Oh, that's a great question. And yeah, we are all energetic beings. It's just science.
Hmm.
And the more attuned you become to your own energy, the more you're able to wield it successfully, right? I always tell friends that the biggest energy in the room wins, right? So if you've got the biggest energy, whether it be joyful energy or really angry energy, guess what? It's going to overpower the other people in the room, whether that's virtually or live and in person. And so as leaders, it's really important to be mindful of what's the impact that you want to have simply by walking into the room. What do you want your energy to say about you before you even open your mouth,
Hmm.
right? And knowing that, how do you want to lead? How do you want to guide? How do you want to influence people through how you're showing up, who you're being, not just what you're saying? Does that make sense?
But does it work the same way on a camera and in person as well? Can you create the same kind of energy when you're on a camera as a leader instead of in front of people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have you ever been on a Zoom meeting where the person moderating was like, mwah, 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 mwah,
Yeah,
mwah, 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 and
just draining
everybody's
everybody's
like,
energy.
okay, right? They start scrolling through their phones, they start
Yeah.
doing other things. But if someone is really commanding your attention, like, hey, what's going on? How are you today? Right? People are going to lean in because we all want to um, vibrate at higher energetic realms, right? Negative energy vibrates at a lower level, positive energy vibrates at a higher level. Again, it's just science. And
Hmm.
so facilitating Zoom meetings with high energy, not like inauthentic, not fake, but genuine, happy, enthusiastic, engaging energy is what's going to have other people want to engage as well. So there are very subtle nuances to how to facilitate meetings on Zoom and in person, but they make all the difference in the world. I think we've all had examples in our lives of really crappy Zoom meetings and really great Zoom meetings. And so it's about thinking about that in advance. Like, what's the impact that I want to leave people with just by showing up?
Mm-hmm. So business leaders have a responsibility from what I take it that what energy to portray and how to control some of the energy. But we are in a time where a lot of even leaders are dealing with a lot of personal challenges. There's a lot of business struggle as well. We're trying to get back to, some people have to reinvent the product or services to come back to the revenue level they were before. And same time, they got a family challenges and they got the team challenges and their issues as well. What do you see some of the leaders are doing to, how to manage their energies, or how do they control it, how they keep the positive energy around? So what do you think some of the steps they have taken over the time, because they have to work extra hard to keep that energy a little bit on a higher level, right? So what do you see some of the challenges they've been dealing with?
So that's a great point, right? We all have stuff going on in our lives. Not every day is a great day, right? But we all want everybody to think, oh, I'm great, everything's fine. When down below the water level, you're like, oh, right? So it's important to get your mindset right from the beginning of your day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before you put your feet on the ground and before you get out of bed, think about, how do you want your day to go? Like, pre-pave your day. Do I want to move through my day with joy, with ease, with confidence, with gratitude? Or do I want to let the worries spin me down the rabbit hole, which then impacts your adrenals, which then raises your cortisol levels, which then tightens your shoulders and they end up in your ears, and it starts creating this negative cascade, right? We are always at choice every day and every moment, right? You get presented with life, sometimes a big pile of poo, right?
Yeah.
But how you react or respond to that situation makes all the difference in the world, right? You may just have been given some really, really bad news, and you get to choose how you want to respond to it. So react is that knee-jerk reaction, that gut reaction, versus pause, take a breath, and how do I want to thoughtfully respond to this particular moment in this situation?
Yeah.
Right.
I think everybody's got to find what works for them. Whether it's reading books or whether taking care of themselves. I know for me, working out in the morning, first thing in the morning, that works very well. So that maintains my energy. So I think everybody works different way. So we all have to find out what works for one person may not work for another person. So I think just finding out what works for you and using that to control their energies. I think that's a key for what I learned over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. I do my workouts in the afternoon because I'm not an early riser. Yeah. I'm going to sit and meditate in bed in the morning, right? I'm going to listen to a meditation that's going to pave my successful day, right? And then at the end of the day, I'll go work out because then I can burn off all of the stuff that's got my shoulders up in my ears, right?
Wow.
But yeah, everybody's got to find their own rhythm. And, I found that even in those hard moments, adopting an attitude of gratitude, as cliche as that may sound, it actually is very, very true, because gratitude vibrates at a higher energetic level, right? So if you can find that place of gratitude, I'm so grateful for this cup of tea. I'm so grateful for the roof over my head. I'm so grateful for my family, my friends, the work that I get to do in the world, whatever it might be for you and your listeners. That's going to help raise up your energy and then give you a fresh perspective and from which to step into your day.
So just look into the small thing that you could be grateful for, and just remind yourself for those things. What you mentioned, that, and then that just bring your energy different level.
It does. Because we live in a very what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, Abundant society, right? If you just pause for a moment and think about people living in other parts of the planet who have far less than we do,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, I think of some of these things as first world problems.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people don't have running water. They don't have indoor plumbing. They don't have solid structures to live in, right? So it's all in
Mm-hmm.
your perspective.
Yeah.
So when you're able to move through the moments and get out of the microcosm and look at the bigger picture, like, oh, okay, I could have it a lot worse and I
Yeah.
don't. So from that place, it's easy to see the difficulty with greater clarity and you
Mm-hmm.
can move through it more easily, I think.
Yeah, very interesting. You mentioned something about the dignity. What do you mean? If you can walk about audience through people are listening or watching us, how does that come to play when it comes to leadership or leading a people in a company? And what do you mean by leading by dignity? So if you just walk us through what do you mean by that, and how does that play a role in a leadership?
Yeah, absolutely. So in my work as a coach and as hypnotherapist, what I've discovered is that we all make up stuff about ourselves. I'm not good
Yeah.
enough. I'm not worthy. I don't belong. All these things, oftentimes it started at a very young age because
Yeah.
somebody said something, somebody did something. And it's in those moments when someone violates your dignity, your sense of value and worth, for me,
Okay.
that at a young age, we start to make up things about ourselves. Well, maybe I didn't get an A+ on my test, so maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not worthy of this, that, or the other thing. Every one of those dignity violations leaves a mark. And those each one of those silently goes into your subconscious mind and starts to have you move through the world in ways that stay safe, to stay inside of these boundaries, because outside of those boundaries is not safe. If I go outside of there, my dignity is going to get violated again if I'm not careful.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So the one-to-one work that I do with individuals is to help them identify the root causes of where these dignity violations happened, where they started believing negative things about themselves, and to change
Mm-hmm.
their mindset, right? And I do that in a particular way using a variety of different tools and modalities. But then you take that one step further and you go into an organization and you've got all these humans with all their own little buttons of dignity violations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you can start to understand what are your top 5 dignity values, how do you want to be treated and how don't you want to be treated,
Mm-hmm.
right? That make you feel seen, heard, and valued. When I understand that about you and you understand that about me, what happens is communications open up because then I can ask you questions in a non confrontational and a psychological safe container to help me understand those motivators, why you do the things that you do that
Mm-hmm.
make you who you uniquely are. So then I have better understanding and the assumption levels go down, the collaboration levels go up, and productivity expands because we're now not beating heads, right? We're actually
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I understand where he's coming from. I understand why this issue was so important to him because of his world experience, because your experiences are vastly different than mine.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody's unique.
Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's a way of honoring the unique qualities of every human being, your internal motivators, your core values, if you will, and to allow space for those in the workplace in a good way, not in a touchy feely woo woo kind of way. I know all you leaders listen like, no, it's not that. It's really just like, how do you bring out the best in the people that are on your team? Because
Mm-hmm.
isn't that what we all want? We want to bring our best. We want to do our best. We want to be of contribution with our unique set of skills. And when we are seen and recognized for that, well, we open up, we expand like little flowers in the sunshine,
Mm-hmm.
right? because it feels good. It creates dopamine hits in our system.
Yeah.
It's a cascade of chemicals in your body that make it go, oh, that was good. Let's do that. Let's do some more of that. Right.
Yeah.
So when you have a whole team working at this higher level, you have happier culture, you have happy, productive employees, you have satisfied clients, and it has positive bottom line results. So there's a lot of great case studies as to why bringing dignity back into our communications in the workplace is a really powerful thing.
You mentioned a couple of great points there. One is people they work, but if you can, but the potential is always much higher, right? So if you can tap into the potential of the people, I mean, you got a competitive advantage over all other companies. Because now you tap into the potential, not just the work is given to them to do the work on a daily basis, right? But I think the core value, the point you mentioned, that is a tricky. We've been trying to figure out in our company as well that yeah, you find a human individual core values, but if you can align those core values with the company core values, now you get a winning team there. Not only that and encourage them to work to their potential, but also you align that the culture that there's individual, they all have a core value, but how could we align those to the company core values?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because when employees come on board, if they feel valued, if they feel recognized for their contributions, they're going to want to contribute more, right? I'm not saying you've got to get people working 90 hours a week. That's not the point here. But yeah, that alignment is really, really key. And it helps maintain retention levels because people feel like they're able to show up authentically for who they are. I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but I've taken a lot of different assessments. This is not actually assessment, it's a survey. It's a patented survey. And this tool allows you to identify how do you want to be treated and how don't
Hmm.
you want to be treated. I've never seen anything anywhere in my nearly 24 years of doing this work that asked me that. And
Wow.
no boss has ever asked me that. Well, how do you want to be treated at work?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So by simply asking that question and having the person define it for themselves, it opens up so much more possibilities for conversation.
Hmm.
So tell me more about that. Why is that important to you?
Yeah.
Because those do's and those don'ts often come from the lessons learned from those dignity violations,
Yeah.
right?
So that's a great point. But can you take one step further? So people trying to scale their teams before you bring people in your team in a hiring process. You may not be able to do all that survey or review. Can you do a small bit of it or small piece of it so you can and at least add the right people to your team and you can assess some of the stuff before that. Is there room to do before you in your hiring or recruiting process?
Actually, because it is not a personality assessment, it actually can be used in the pre-hiring process, right? Um, because it just gives you insights into a person's innate motivators,
Hmm.
right? And um, their thinking styles. And part of the tool has ways to help you identify the characteristics and traits that you're looking for so you can bring them onto your team. The tool I'm talking about is called Dignify,
Yeah.
dignify.com. The new version's being launched any moment now, literally within days.
Yeah.
That's going to be super exciting. That has a lot of other really wonderful tools in it for organizations to utilize. And making hires right the first time, as you know, is really important because
Of
it's
course.
expensive to go
Hmm.
find a new person to fill that seat.
Yeah.
So understanding these things about your team, first and foremost, like who is on our team, what are our strengths, um, and what are our internal motivators, then you can start to see, well, where are the gaps and how do we want to hire to fill these various positions to make sure that we create the balanced team that we're looking to create.
Yeah, if you can avoid some of the mistakes you're going to make in a recruiting process, but we're using these tools. I think that's a win-win for businesses because now you only bring in a people that you're going to be able to have that collaboration, to have that productivity, aligned with their team.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and that can be a huge cost savings, right?
Yeah,
Just because you were able to get it right the first time and not have to do it a second or a third or fourth
yeah.
time, depending on the positions.
Yeah, beside the cost is the time. How much time do you invest into people interviewing and going through all the process? Then and the time of losing by hiring the wrong person if you have to replace it again, right? So more than cost is the time doesn't come back, right? To people, I know business leaders they always struggle, they always try to find the right people, but that's where they spend most time on. Just and the wrong decision. We all make mistakes in that area, right? So wrong decision
Yeah,
costs you so much time every time you hire
absolutely.
somebody wrong.
Absolutely. It's kind of like dating in a funny way. Like, no, not that. No, not that. No, not that. Oh,
Yeah.
there we go. There's it,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
So you got to go through a lot of people by the time you find the right people for your team, right? Very
exactly.
interesting. So how do you help out our business leaders? Do you work with the business leaders first, and then you work with the teams? Michelle, how does your the process works? How do you help out leaders?
Sure. So, yeah, typically leaders will come to me to do some individual work. And in the process of that, I'm having them go through the Dignify snapshot. Um, and from there, they very quickly start to see how powerful of a tool this can be for their whole team. And then they bring me in to work with their whole team to have everyone in the organization take it. And then facilitating conversations around it, teaching them how to use it. Because it's not a just take this and a one and done kind of thing. It's truly intended to be an ongoing tool for regular check-ins.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's very robust in that it gives you a variety of other tools based on this foundation of what are your motivational factors to then check in with your team individually, through meetings, through surveys, to help you bring out the best in your team by giving them voice in a way that they probably haven't been given voice before, right? So think of it as a tool that will not only help you understand how your team thinks and works most effectively, but um, it enables you to, on an ongoing basis, keep a finger to the pulse of what's working and what's not working.
Mm-hmm.
And so can it can be used to almost replace annual reviews because you're doing these reviews of these check-ins on a regular basis with your team members.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the year, you already know, right? So it's a whole different way of working with your team so that you know how to bring out the best in each person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was gonna say that doing it once it doesn't cut it. Correct. If you do it once, people are gonna forget about it. And then it fall out of the track. So you gotta do ongoing basis, whether it's the check-in or whether it's a review of it. You gotta do ongoing basis. Is there a metrics that tells you where the person at? Maybe they're 10%. They're making a progress. Is there a way to assess that progress the individuals or as a team we people are making in a company?
Um, so this tool is not used in that way, right? That assessment is objective, right? It's for
Yeah.
you to decide. However, um, the way that it is used, like the individual check-ins that you have, you basically two people can go into the platform and you can see each other's. It's very transparent, right? I could see yours snapshot, you can see my snapshot, and it literally tells you what questions to ask. Gurmeet, tell me
Mhm.
about your motivational, your dignity trait around leadership, and why is that important to you? And you have these conversations on a regular basis. There's a bunch of questions already in the system that it pulls from, but then as an organization, you can go in and add your own custom questions
I
specific
see.
to your team, to your projects, that continually open up and elevate the conversations, so that the misunderstandings and misinterpretations go way down, and your productivity and collaboration levels go way up.
Very interesting. Yeah, so you can add your own questions, and questions are powerful. But if you can find something that is going to help your team, you can probably add that. That's a great point. You can customize for your business as well.
Yeah, it's very, very customizable. And then, you have your coach who's a professional question asker. Right? So together we can create those questions that are going to be most impactful for your team, for you to understand, so that as you move forward each month, each quarter, each year, you've got these various questions to ask, both at an individual level and a team level, even at an organizational level. You can do customized surveys anonymously or collectively with teams, et cetera, to help you continually extract the vital information that you need in a way that is captured inside of this really unique system called Dignify.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. So, talk about your journey, Michele. How do you got involved in this? The leadership help, and how do you got involved, and how's your journey been?
My journey has been a very interesting, circuitous route, Gurmeet.
Okay.
I was a creative director, a graphic designer in high tech in my former career. The early days of the dot-com world. And it's what brought me out here to the San Francisco Bay Area. And I was building a team at a hot.com startup that was about to IPO. And as the universe would have it, I hired two gentlemen who made it very clear very quickly they didn't like working for me, working for a woman. I don't know, but essentially I got bullied out of my position. And it was very painful. It was very eye-opening, and it really shattered my confidence at the time. And it's what had me discover coaching back in 2000, a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process of being coached, I kind of had this whole body moment where all the cells in my body kind of came into alignment, and my spirit was like, yes, this now. Like, I just knew that this was the thing I was meant to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went and got trained and certified and pivoted my career and started my company, Nectar Consulting, back in 2001. So I've been doing coaching and training and leadership work for 23 years. And all along that path, I've been a learning junkie. I'm fascinated by how people think and work and what makes us tick, and why does one person have all the confidence and this person has none of the confidence, and how do you raise these people up? How do you distribute that in a way that has an ongoing positive impact? So I have a very full toolbox of tools and modalities that I use with my clients to help them achieve a clear path forward, to find purpose, to find meaning, to find confidence, and to overcome the fears, the self-doubt, the worry, the anxiety that can be very overpowering at times, so that they can find greater peace of mind, greater health and well-being. Because when we work on the inside stuff and we let go of the past, the things that have weighed us down, fear, guilt, regret, shame, whatever it might be, when we let go of that, we are lighter and brighter. We're able to do our job with greater joy, greater focus, greater clarity. And that creates its own ripple effect, not only in how you show up in your job, but then how do you treat others? How do you work with others? What's the impact, the ripple effect on the people that you work with, the clients that you work with, and so on, right? It just keeps going. So that's, a little bit about my journey. I've incorporated these different modalities, coaching and hypnotherapy in particular, to really help clients get at the deep root causes of the limiting beliefs that are lodged in your subconscious mind, which is 90% of your brain power. So when you can shift that conversation and master your mindset more effectively, well, then There are no limits.
So does hypnotherapy works that helps to get inside somebody's subconscious mind and try to control that? What are you trying to focus on? Does that also is part of that?
Yes, absolutely. So um, think think of it this way. Coaching works at a conscious level,
Okay.
and hypnotherapy works at a subconscious level. So your conscious mind is about 10% of your brain power, and your subconscious mind is 90% of your brain power. So everything that's ever happened to you in your lifetime is stored nice and neatly in your subconscious mind. Now, we don't remember it all because that would be way too overwhelming, right?
Mm-hmm.
So through this process, I'm basically taking you into an alpha brainwave state. It's that half awake, half asleep place. You're awake, you can hear me, you're fully in control. And yet, I have access to your subconscious mind, and I'm able to have a conversation with you at that level. Your body's very relaxed, as if you've just woken up from a nap. And in that place, I'm able to ask you very specific questions to get at those root causes that have created the fear blinders, the worry, the anxiety that is preventing you from seeing all that is actually available to you. And in doing so, as we rewire your thinking, literally building new neural pathways in your brain with new empowering beliefs, it starts to open up new vistas and venues for you to see that you couldn't before because you had all these filters, cloaks, right? Caused by fear in different ways, shapes, and form in your life.
Wow, very fascinating stuff. But subconscious mind, what my research based on what I know a little bit about this, that it's very active when you're sleeping, right? When you're sleeping, that's what's mostly subconscious mind is activated, and you can tap into it through the hypnotherapy as well, which you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, your subconscious mind's always listening, whether you're awake or you're asleep, right?
Okay.
It's running the show in the background. So, for example, there's a part of your brain called the amygdala.
Okay.
Right? I like to call her Amy. Amy's in charge of your fight, flight, or freeze mechanism, right? So anytime as you're moving through your day, something happens, let's say your boss yells at you, right? Right? Amy's like, oh, that's danger, right? And your body reacts as if it's a physical threat, right? When your dignity gets violated, your body acts as if it's a true physical threat. And so your amygdala is like, oh, okay, this equals that. So don't do this, right? So Amy's there in the background, always making notes as to what we need to do to stay safe. Let's stay in our lane so we can stay safe, because that is your amygdala's sole purpose, is to keep your body on alert. Am I safe, right? Because back in the day, we were being chased by bears and saber-toothed tigers, right? Now those come in the form of bosses and crazy car drivers and all sorts of things, right? Yeah. So it's a matter of retraining your brain, overriding old limiting beliefs, and giving Amy a new set of instructions on how to move through the world safely, yet confidently and with ease.
Wow, very, very interesting, very fascinating stuff. So, was there your book, Michele? Was that also part on this these topic we're talking about on a brain, or was it a different topic on a book?
So I have my last book that I co-authored is called Breakthrough Healing. And I wrote that a few years ago. I have a new book that's almost finished, and we're hoping to have it published here within the next month or so, called I Am Perfectly Flawsome: How Embracing Imperfection Makes Us Better. And my colleague, Tom Collins, and I are co-authoring it together. And it's all about overcoming perfectionism and how that shows up, what causes it, how it impacts our lives, and what you can do about it to let it go.
Very interesting. So where can people, definitely this is a lot, I learned so much from you. There's so, very, very interesting discussion. Business leader are watching. I know we all trying to get back to the level where we were before this disruption happened for the last few years. And they all trying to find, and sometimes just a little perspective take you a long way. We all look for different perspective, right? So if you stay with the one perspective, definitely it's not going to take you there. That's why we need people like you, coaches, consultants. So show us a different perspective, or show some type of blind spots that we are dealing with, so we can get over some of those limitations and achieve what we're trying to achieve in a business or in a life, right? So very important. So people who are watching, I'll definitely encourage them to reach out to you for conversation. I learned so much from our discussion. There's so much to learn. I'm sure there's people who are connect with you. They're gonna learn so much from you as well. Where can they find your books, and where can they connect with you, Michele?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me, Gurmeet. You can always find me at michelemolitor.com. That's Michele with one L. Molitor.com or nectarconsulting.com. And my book, Breakthrough Healing, is available on Amazon. My new book will be available on Amazon soon, any moment now. And I'm always happy to have a complimentary and confidential conversation with someone who's interested in doing this deeper level of work, and to bring more dignity into their life and to their leadership. I'm would love to be of service to your listeners if that's of help. And I work with folks individually. I have some group programs, and I have, of course, the corporate work that I do as well.
I'm going to include a link to your books and your website as well below this video. They can simply click a link and just connect with you, and definitely encourage them to reach out to you. A very interesting discussion. Who knows where the conversation is going to take you, but you will learn so much from your conversation. But I want to appreciate your time with me, Michele. Thank you so much for spending time. It was very, I learned a lot more about that, but the energies, there's so much to learn from you. Definitely, I'm going to wait for your new book as soon as it's released. It's going to be on Amazon, the book as well, or
it'll be on Amazon. I'll share a link with you so you can get on the wait list for it, and then you'll get all the inside scoop on when it's actually going to be published.
Well, looking forward to it.
Yes. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time, Michele.